so it's those fragments that are our reactive self. So it's those parts of ourself that are repressed, that haven't had a chance to express themselves fully and be supported with that expression, or you could call them repressed aspects of self, that are our reactive self, or selves you could say, but really they're part of our reactive self. So a lot of what you guys mentioned before, just that, reaction in the moment, being frustrated, operating in the moment out of something that's triggered you, things like that is the reactive self. And so I'm going to ask you guys to just think of a situation in your life when you know that the reactive self comes out pretty frequently. A situation that you can identify where you're like, yes, every time that happens, this is what I do. I always react in that situation. So just think about a situation like that. And I'm going to get you to maybe turn to the person beside you and have 3 of you at this table and just share what that particular situation is for you and what happens. And then switch. Make sure everybody gets a chance to talk. And then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up and the feeling aspects. So the other part I want to ask you is, when you think about that situation, and I'm sure there's many, but you only had to share one, maybe you shared 3 or 4, that's okay. I'm sure there's many we could be here for the rest of the day and maybe the evening. But think of the one that you share, the one that's most prominent to you, and I want you to try to figure out how you feel, like what feeling comes up for you when you feel emotionally triggered. Like, is it disappointment? Is it sadness? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Whatever that feeling is. So try to identify the feeling that you get when you're triggered, and also try, so that would be step 1, identify the feeling. You can leave that there. And step 2 would be, that's supposed to be a 1 actually. And step 2 would be, see if you can say to yourself, when is the first time I've had that feeling? Try to go back in your past. It's most likely going to be childhood. It doesn't have to be childhood. But when is the first time I felt that discouragement? When is the first time I felt that anxiety? When is the first time I felt that hatred, or whatever it is that you're feeling? See if you can identify something in the past where that feeling comes up for you. So I'm going to get you to talk amongst each other again. And maybe I could get you guys to pair up so there's more time now that Peony's joined. And so switch, identify the feeling, where you think it links up in the past, if you can. If you can't, that's okay. And then switch and talk amongst each other for a few minutes. We'll come back. Yeah. So I like that you said that I buried everything. So that's those aspects we talked about that we fragment. I say fragment, but they're really repressed parts of yourself. And you mentioned not feeling like your true self. They're kind of separated from your whole or your true self. And to the degree that we have that, if we might have some fragmentation, we might have a lot of fragmentation, is the degree that we will experience anxiety, depression, and anger. That's kind of like the measuring stick of how much anxiety, depression, or anger, since we're talking about those specific emotions, but any negative emotions for that matter, we'll have. The more fragmented we feel, the more of those emotions we'll experience. So reaction means we're having a reaction, which means we're having a nervous system reaction, a reaction similar to the nervous system reaction we had during the original event. So if it was that you were criticized a lot and that made you feel, however that made you feel, you identified a feeling with that?
Yeah, I feel like it's a combination of things.
Yeah, that's okay. What are the feelings?
One particular feeling.
Okay.
But now it's just that I know I get annoyed very quickly. It's kind of like upset, frustrated, annoyed, all in one.
Yeah, okay. So it's when that criticizing comes up and there's that, however it was experienced at the beginning, that could be sad, could be annoyance, whatever. It's that same reaction that happens when somebody does that again to you. So it's kind of like you have this nervous system reaction at the time of the event, and then everybody else who brings up that or activates that in you with their actions brings up the same nervous system response in you. Are you following me? Does that make sense? So there's 3 nervous system responses. There's the fight, flight, or freeze response. And let's break it down a little bit what you guys think each of them what each of them would look like before we do the next exercise. So what would the fight reaction look like? If you were going to fight back, what would you be doing?
Attack with words. Attack with words.
Attack with words, yep. So attack or name call. Argue, yep.
I feel like I get defensive, like right away.
Defensive, yep. Okay. What else? You can't really see this, can you? Can't run that well. Okay. So attack, argue, get defensive. What else would the fight be? I'm going to fight back. Would anyone shout? Or yell? Maybe shout, yell. Would anybody throw things? That's good. Or you're just not saying.
That's what it is. You might hit somebody if it's.
Yes, there might be hitting,
or you
right?
might feel like doing it if it's a family member.
Yes.
Same, like a brother.
Yes, you might, right? So you might actually hit, yell, argue, attack with words, as you said, name calling, shout, yell. Yelling's a big one. Yeah. So if you're in the fight mode, these are kind of the behaviors where you're going to see. What about the flight mode?
What do you mean by that?
Flight means take off.
Just like
So there's one. Yeah. Walk away.
ignore.
Yeah. Walk away.
Avoidance.
Ignore. Avoid. What else? You're in the flight mode.
Silent treat. I guess ignore silent treatment is similar. Or accepting.
Yep. We can put silence probably under both of these. What was that one for you?
Accepting. Like just the situation
Accepting, if you're accepting a situation, this is probably not a nervous system reaction. So when you accept something and you're okay with it?
Well, accepting out of frustration, you're just like, whatever.
Okay, so kind of like throwing your hands up or giving up.
Yeah.
Giving up? Yeah. Giving up. Sure, yeah. Okay.
Could like the yelling and screaming also be flight?
You could be yelling and screaming and walking away at the same time, then you have the fight and flight response.
Let it out and walk away.
And walk away, yeah. So then you're doing a combo here. So now we know you can get, combo orders with this. How about the freeze reaction?
Stiffen up.
Yep. So it's sort of like,
Internally stiffen up.
yeah, just kind of immobilize. Yeah. Immobilize. Okay. What else? The freeze response.
Shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, shut down. Has anyone ever done this? Oh, I wish I had have said that, but I was just frozen. I couldn't think of what to say. Yeah. So it could be that kind of thing. Like you might freeze or go numb. Anybody ever gone numb? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So these are the nervous system reactions that we're having when we're reacting, what the reactive self is having. Either the fight, flight, or freeze. So what I'm going to ask you to do as a last group, I guess, or pair exercise today, is take that same situation that you know that you react with, you have a feeling about, some of you might know where it comes from, some of you might not, that's okay, and see what is the nervous system reaction that you have now and you had at that time, and see if you can see the pattern. So what did you do, or what do you do when this happens? So when you have, somebody in your family not, making you feel like you're not understood or that your opinion doesn't matter, what do you do? So do you freeze? Do you flight? Do you fight? And then see if that's something you can point out as a pattern in your life. Now, there might be some times, like you were saying, Suhaila, where you do one with one person and one with another, and that could be a safety thing. Like you might not fight at work. You might freeze or flight at work. You might still be reactive. Or with a particular person, especially where you feel there's safety involved of some sort. Or you could do a combo, but let's see which one you can come up with. Maybe I'm a fighter and I'm a flighter, but I'm kind of more of a fighter. That kind of thing. So turn to your partner and talk about what you think that you do and see if you can come up with the pattern that's been kind of running into your adult life that's the most prominent for you.